Hallo, ich heiße euch willkommen zu meinem ersten Video alleine. Ich bin ein bisschen aufgeregt, bin ein bisschen nervös. Ich weiß nicht genau, was ich sagen soll, ohne Markus an meiner Seite. Ich weiß auch nicht, ob man mich sieht. Ich habe irgendwas an Markus' Webcam eingestellt und jetzt ist das Licht irgendwie anders. Ich hoffe, es funktioniert. Und ich habe mir überlegt, wir spielen What Remains of Edith Finch. Ich habe ein gutes erstes Alleine-Spiel, weil man da, glaube ich, sowieso nicht so viel redet, um irgendwie nicht die Atmosphäre zu versauen. Ich habe gehört, es ist ein sehr trauriges Spiel, es ist ein sehr schönes Spiel. Oh Gott, es geht schon los. Markus hat eine 10 von 10 gegeben. Und ja, ich würde sagen, wir starten rein und schauen.
A lot of this isn't going to make sense to you, and I'm sorry about that. I'm just going to start at the beginning, with the house.
Okay. Ich habe das Spiel auf Englisch, ich habe aber die Schrift, beziehungsweise die Untertitel, die Schrift auf Deutsch gemacht. Okay, so laufe ich. Wow. Was ist
I
das für
lived
eine
here until I
Welt?
was 11, but I wasn't allowed inside half the rooms.
Okay. Was ist das für ein Haus? Entschuldigung, ich muss mich erstmal hier in der Welt umschauen. Wow. Ach, wie schön. Oh, da sehe ich mich. In so einem Wald möchte ich auch wohnen später. Wenn ich alt und grau bin. Mit Markus zusammen. Ach, wie schön. Okay.
Inside the mailbox were bills from 7 years ago, marked urgent, open immediately.
Okay. Also hier war wohl lange keiner mehr. Es hat keiner nach der Post
I hadn't been
geschaut.
back since my brother Lewis's funeral.
Ach da. Okay. Ihr bruderst also schon, ihr wisst das wahrscheinlich alles schon. Ihr habt wahrscheinlich alle schon dieses Spiel gesehen. Bei Markus oder es selber gespielt. Ich habe es tatsächlich noch nie gespielt. Ich weiß fast nichts über das Spiel. Vielleicht ist es ja auch schön für euch, das nach den vielen Jahren nochmal zu sehen. No trespassing. Also ich als Urbexer bin da ja. Nein,
In her
danke.
will, my mother left me a key, but didn't tell me what it unlocked.
Okay.
Maybe she thought I'd know. Or she thought that the mystery would be enough to bring me back.
Okay. Können wir da auch lang? Tatsächlich. Soll ich hier schon lang oder soll ich oben lang? Ich weiß es nicht. Ich hoffe, ich mache gerade nichts kaputt.
The truth is, even after I inherited the house, I never thought I'd come back to it. But now I had questions about my family that only the house knew the answers to.
Okay. Auch diese Frösche im Hintergrund. Wie liebevoll und schön das alles hier ist. Auch wie schön das aussieht.
The woods around the house have always been uncomfortably silent. As if they're about to say something but never do.
Okay. Ich weiß gar nicht, ob ich hier richtig bin oder wo ich lang muss. Weil oben war ja auch noch ein Weg. Aber wir gehen erstmal hier lang. Wir nehmen erstmal nicht den normalen Hauptweg. Kann ich sprinten? Oh, damit suche ich. Okay. Das wollen wir aber auch nicht. Das zerstört irgendwie die Atmosphäre. Okay. Ich weiß, da links ist es am spannendsten, aber da gucken wir gleich erst. Ach, das ist, glaube ich, der Weg oben lang, oder? Oh. Ach, wo ist es hin? Zu schnell. Mal schauen, vielleicht gibt es ja noch was zu entdecken.
No
Okay.
one had driven this way in a long time, but I saw a few hoof prints.
Okay, von dem Hirsch wahrscheinlich da gerade. Ach, guck mal, diese Blumen. Wie heißen die nochmal? Ich weiß, die sind ganz giftig. Meine Mutter hat mir das immer eingeredet. Und ich wusste auch immer den Namen. Aber jetzt, wo ich ihn brauche, fällt er mir natürlich nicht ein. Ich glaube, von hier irgendwo sind wir runtergegangen, oder? Ja, von da. Na gut. Dann gehen wir mal in Richtung Haus. Ich hoffe, ihr habt übrigens alle was Schönes zu trinken. Ich habe mir einen Lavendeltee gemacht. Passend zu der Stimmung, dachte ich. Prost. Wird wahrscheinlich, also sehr bestimmt nachher weinen. Ich habe mir auch schon Taschentücher bereitgelegt. Ich habe von Markus gehört, dass es sehr traurig ist und dass selbst er Pipi in den Augen hat oder der weint, dann heißt das was. Und ich bin bei Film und Spielen super nah am Wasser gebaut. Das ist furchtbar.
The house was
Wow.
exactly like I remembered it, the way I'd been dreaming about it.
Was ist das für ein surreales Haus? Okay. Was ist das denn? Für ein Kopf? Okay, hier kommen wir nicht weiter. Dann gehen wir mal zum Haus. Ich könnte jetzt schon rein. Diese dramatische Musik und dann diese wunderschöne Gegend hier. Ich sag's euch, ich könnte jetzt schon anfangen zu weinen.
I asked Edie once about the dragon in the pond. She said it had killed her husband. I was 6. It seemed like an odd joke to me, even then.
Okay. Oh, schaut mal. Kann ich mich ducken? Ich kann ranzoomen. Milton Finch. Ich denke mal, wir sind auch irgendein Finch. Ich weiß nicht, ob wir Edith sind oder irgendwer anders. Auf jeden Fall scheinen wir die Finches zu kennen. Und der Milton wurde vermisst oder ist noch vermisst. Ich weiß es nicht. Wir werden es herausfinden, denke ich. Oh, das ganze Wasser ist voll mit diesen Plakaten. Okay, gehen wir mal zum Haus. Ich glaube, hier kommen wir nicht weiter. Wo lang ist die Frage? Da lang.
As a child, the house made me uncomfortable in a way I couldn't put into words.
Verständlich. Es ist ein
Now, as a
besonderes Haus.
17-year-old, I knew exactly what those words were. I was afraid of the house.
Okay, also wir sind auf jeden Fall 17 Jahre alt. Gut zu wissen. Wow. Können wir hier rein? Oh, tatsächlich. Ich möchte aber
Crawling
auch
through
noch
the doggy
vorne
door used to be a
gucken.
lot easier when I was 11.
Okay, also wir hatten einen Hund. Können wir Licht anmachen?
The power had been turned off the night we left.
Okay, die sind wohl nachts irgendwann gegangen. Warum auch immer. Ich meine, was erzähle ich euch das? Ihr wisst das wahrscheinlich alle schon. Und ich weiß hier gar nichts. Okay, da kommen wir bestimmt ins Haus. Ich will aber eigentlich noch mal vorne erst gucken gehen. Ich gehe erstmal nach vorne, wenn ich hier wieder rauskomme. Nein, komme ich nicht? Na gut. Gucken wir doch nicht vorne.
For the first time in years, I felt like I was home.
Okay.
But instead of a family, there were just memories of one.
Okay, hier ist Edith, Eddie, Dawn und Louis. Louis, Lewis, ich weiß nicht. Okay. Aber vielleicht sind wir dann Edith, weil am Anfang wurde ja gesagt, dass unser Bruder beerdigt wurde. Schauen wir mal weiter. Oh, Apple Pie. Okay.
Like how only one restaurant would deliver to our house, so we had Chinese a lot.
Kann man machen.
Or how after Louis started working at the cannery, we all got sick of eating salmon. Except our cat, Molly.
Oh Gott. Warum so viel Fisch? Also ja, wegen dem
The
Bruder.
table was still a wreck from the night we left. It was like a bomb had gone off, killing everyone but sparing the furniture.
Okay. Das Knatschen, woher kommt das?
My mom was the only one of us who could imagine Great-Grandma Edie living in a nursing home.
Okay. Warum sind wir denn alle abgehauen? Anscheinend so Hals über Kopf in einer Nacht- und Nebelaktion.
Nothing in the house looked abnormal. There was just too much of it, like a smile with too many teeth.
Okay. Ach so.
Even
Was
the
ist-
fireplace had a story. Edie told me the bricks came from the original house, after it sank.
Okay. Oh, das Haus ist aber schön. Also in so einem Haus sehe ich mich mit Markus. Ja, irgendwo am See. Alleine. Da sehe ich mich. Da will ich sein. Also Markus, wenn du das siehst, da sehe ich uns. Okay, ziemlich viele Bücher. Der Fernseher gestapelt auf Büchern. Hier wurde gerne gelesen. Oh, hier gibt es wieder Sachen anzusehen. Schauen wir mal.
Great-Grandpa Sven built a music box for Barbara, along with the rest of the house.
Okay. Können wir da mit unserem Schlüssel rein?
Mom always told me to stay out of the basement, so I wasn't too surprised when the key didn't fit.
Okay. Aber wir können da rein. Hier waren wir schon. Haben wir vielleicht irgendwas übersehen? Ich hoffe nicht. Ich glaube nicht. Oh, was ist das? War das mal? Nee, das ist doch eher die Haustür, oder? Warum wurde die denn so zugemacht? Hm. Oh Gott, guckt mal, diese ganzen Bücher. Und ein Treppenlift.
After Milton disappeared, Mom sealed up all the bedrooms.
Okay.
Then Edie retaliated and drilled peepholes.
Okay. Schlauer Move. Müssen wir immer da lang, wo die Schrift als nächstes ist? Weißt du uns das den Weg? Okay. Oh, wir können da rein.
As a kid, I just assumed every house had peepholes and sealed rooms you weren't allowed inside of.
Das ist wohl das Badezimmer. Okay. Dann können wir vielleicht in das Zimmer unten auch reingucken. Da müssen wir gleich nochmal runtergehen.
The last time I was in Edith Sr.'s room, I was 10 and she was painting my portrait.
My Grandpa Sam spent 7 years sharing a room with his dead brother, Calvin.
Okay. Genau geteilt in der Mitte. Dann gehen wir nochmal runter und gucken nochmal unten in die Tür rein.
Edie told me once that every finch who ever lived is buried somewhere in the library.
Okay. Oh,
My mom wasn't much of an optimist, but she never stopped believing that my brother Milton was alive.
okay, also wahrscheinlich ist er dann tot, denke ich mal. Gehen wir mal hier lang.
Whenever people ask me about my family, the first thing they always want to know about is Barbara.
Okay. Ich denke mal, sie war irgendwie Schauspielerin. Ja. Sieht sehr danach aus. Wahrscheinlich dann sogar sehr erfolgreich oder sehr bekannt. Okay, da geht's noch hoch. Wir gucken aber erstmal bei der Barbara und erstmal hier.
Edie's father Odin built the original house.
Okay. Schauen wir mal im Barbara.
Barbara was a child star for 2 years, until America grew out of it.
Okay, also wohl doch nicht so super erfolgreich. Na gut, gehen wir mal nach oben.
Mom must have locked the third floor stairs on the night we left.
Okay. Dann müssen wir mal weiterschauen. Hier war ich. Oh, hier ist sogar was offen. Wir schauen aber erstmal da. Molly, okay.
Molly always seemed like a girl I could imagine being friends with, if she hadn't died in 1947.
Okay, also stehen hier dran, wie lange die gelebt haben. Dann wird sie nur 10. Okay. Schauen wir mal hier.
I spent a
einzige
lot of
Zimmer ist
time
offen.
playing in Great Uncle Walter's room. I think my mom sometimes regretted not sealing it up.
Okay. Den Raum finde ich gruselig. Du musst dazu wissen, ich habe unfassbare Angst vor Sachen, die unter Wasser sind. Ich hasse es, unter Wasser zu sein, auch mit dem Kopf oder so. Irgendwie, wenn ich schwimmen gehe, ich gehe nicht gern tauchen. Ich habe unfassbare Angst vor Booten, dass die versinken und ich sterbe. Alles, was unter Wasser ist, ist immer ganz furchtbar für mich. Okay, hier ist unser Familienname. Schauen wir mal.
Lewis told me there were secret passages, but I never believed him.
Hast vielleicht da unser Schlüssel? Tatsächlich.
Turns
Oh,
out,
achso.
my mom was really good at keeping secrets. Now it was time to find out what my mom had been afraid of.
Okay. 249, ist das wichtig? Ich weiß, ich versuche es mir mal zu merken. Wahrscheinlich vergesse ich es.
From the paintings on the wall, it was clear my brother Milton had been here before me. Reading this, maybe it sounds like I had a plan. But I had no idea what was behind that door. Just like I had no idea where all this was gonna lead.
Okay, es speichert automatisch. Gut zu wissen. Das ist ein schönes Zimmer, ne?
I grew up looking at Molly's room through the peephole. Molly's gerbil had a tiny bedroom with its own even tinier gerbil cage.
Süß. Sowas würde ich auch bauen. Als Kind hätte ich sowas auch für meine Maus
Being inside
gebaut.
for the first time, I felt like I'd stepped behind a painting.
Ach, was haben die, so ein schönes Haus und so ein Zimmer? Was hätte ich als Kind für so ein Zimmer gegeben? Ehrlich. Okay.
December 13th, 1947. Dear Diary, I'll be gone soon, but I wanted to tell somebody about what's gonna happen. It started when Mom sent me to bed without dinner. I woke up and I was starving, so I looked around for something to eat.
Okay. Es leuchtet da schon so auffällig. Denke mal, ich muss...
The gerbil food was dry, but I didn't mind it.
Okay.
Mom, can I come out now?
Sweetheart, it's late. Go to sleep.
War hat unsere Mom uns denn abends nichts zu essen
My
gegeben?
Halloween candy was all gone.
Okay, da geht's bestimmt gleich weiter. Ah. Oh nein, 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 das machen wir nicht. Nein, 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 nein. Nicht den Fischi essen. Aber ich habe ein eigenes Badezimmer. Und die scheinen sehr klein zu sein.
I kept eating and eating.
Okay, jetzt haben wir Zahnpasta gegessen anscheinend.
I ate a lot of things that night.
Vergiften wir uns? Ich hoffe nicht.
Then I heard chirping outside my window. It was a barn swallow going back to her nest. I reached out for her.
Oh nein.
And suddenly, I was a cat.
Oh. Oh nein.
I tried to be quiet, but the bird was really scared.
Okay. Oh Gott, wie komme ich denn dahin? Ah. Die ist doch dabei gestorben, oder? Die ist doch aus dem Fenster gesprungen und gestorben. Oh. Wie sie schnurrt.
I jumped and I almost got her.
Oh Gott.
I could tell she was getting really tired. Now I was up in the big tree. I promised Dad I wouldn't climb it anymore. All I cared about was eating that mama bird.
Okay. Hm. Gott, wo lang gehe ich denn von hier? Ich da hoch? Tatsächlich.
I gobbled her up,
Oh nein.
and suddenly I was an owl. First, all I heard was the wind. Then I heard little teeth nibbling in the grass. Rabbits.
Ja, dann mal hinterher.
I imagined his face looking up and seeing mine through my talons. I swallowed him up, and I didn't chew one bit. Then I flew off to find something bigger. A mama rabbit.
Ui.
She was almost too big to carry. I started choking, but I couldn't stop eating. And suddenly, I was a shark.
Muss ich was machen, oder? Ah, okay. So irgendwie hier wegkommen.
I rolled off a cliff and
Oh ja,
into the ocean.
unter Wasser.
Now, I was hungrier than ever.
Wir lieben Unterwasser. Ein bisschen unangenehm, aber das schaffen wir. Okay, nein, nein, ich will dahin zu dem Fischi.
I wanted fat, juicy seals.
Oh Gott. Wo ist sie hin? Ach, da.
I tore off her flipper, and it tasted really good. Grabbed on tight. When I was so hungry, I jumped out of the water. When I opened my eyes, everything had changed.
Oh, was bin ich? Bin ich ein Tintenfisch? Okay, länger ist mein Arm nicht. So eklig. Okay, darunter kann ich auch nicht. Okay, ich glaube, da sollte ich nicht durch. Ah, okay.
Now I was a monster, and I smelled people everywhere.
Ich hoffe, ich bin hier richtig.
I
Keine
was
Ahnung.
big, but I moved real quiet.
Achso. Oh Gott.
I wanted to stop, but also I didn't.
Das Lied.
His belly was rusty, his belly was rusty, his belly was rusty, razor.
So, hier ist doch auch noch jemand. Oh Gott. Nein, da. Hab mich erschrocken. Gebe ich zu.
After the last passenger, I was still hungry. And across the water, I smelled something new. Something I had to have, so I swam towards it. I slithered onto the sand, and the good smell went into an old pipe.
Oh, das ist doch unsere Toilette.
I got closer and closer.
Muss ich die Maus essen? Nein? Okay. Gott sei Dank. Muss ich den Fisch essen? Ich hoffe nicht. Ne, da hoch muss ich auch nicht. Glaube ich. Okay, da rein auch.
All my stomach started growling. And suddenly, I was me again. I held my breath for a long time, but I couldn't hear anything. I think it's waiting for me to fall asleep. But it's not going to wait much longer. It needs to feed, and we both know I will be delicious.
I'm not sure if I believed all of that, but I'm sure Edie would have.
Okay.
I got the sense Edie had spent a lot of time here before my mom sealed the doors.
Okay, da ist sie rausgeklettert und da sitzt eine Katze. Müssen wir da bestimmt auch hin? Okay, ne, darüber kommen wir nicht. Oder? Nein. Dann gehen wir hin.
This will be obvious later, but my mom never told me any of these stories.
Edie would have, but Mom didn't like bringing up the past. Though, when we adopted a stray kitten, she was the one who named it Molly.
Okay.
I spent a lot of time in Great-Grandma Edie's room. We got along, and it was a good place to hide from my mom. Edie knit me a new pair of gloves every year, just in time to replace the old ones.
Okay, war die Mom irgendwie... Ich hab das Gefühl, die war ein bisschen crazy. So die Frage, wann sie crazy wurde. Und warum. Okay. 1937 von Avon Finch.
When Edie told people Sven was killed by a dragon, she could also have said he was building a dragon-shaped slide that collapsed. She could have, but she didn't.
Okay, er wurde erschlagen.
Even in her 90s, sometimes Edie seemed a lot younger than my mother.
Okay, hier ist die Mom. Für sich das sind wir anscheinend. Und das ist Edie. An ihrem 90. Geburtstag. Da gehen wir auch gleich raus, aber erstmal schauen wir alles an.
Her room was like a museum.
Okay, da können wir, glaube ich, wieder reingucken und sehen dann was. Das machen wir sofort. Oh, von Odin Finch? Okay. Na gut. Schauen wir mal da rein.
For 500 years, the Finches have been famous throughout Norway for their fortune and misfortune.
Ah. Oh.
Odin Finch buries the latest victims of the family curse, his wife Ingeborg and their newborn son, Johann. On January 7th, 1937, he set sail with his family and his house, hoping to leave the curse behind.
Der hat das Haus mitgenommen, interessant.
But 40-foot waves off the coast of Washington send the house and Odin to the bottom of the sea. Odin's daughter Edie, with husband Sven and baby Molly, step ashore on their new home, Orcas Island. Odin Finch is the first to be buried in the new family cemetery.
Okay, er ist gestorben.
His daughter Edie is already dreaming of a new Finch house.
Okay. Wir sind durch. Ja.
Whatever's wrong with this family, it goes back a long ways.
Diese Familie scheint sehr vom Unglück verfolgt zu sein. Okay, es wird wieder gespeichert. Schauen wir mal da vorne drin. Oder können wir da noch rein? Nein, na gut. Ach, was ein Badezimmer.
The only trace Grandpa Sam's first wife Kay left on the house was the pink bathroom.
Das könnte
It
mein
was a pretty
Badezimmer
big
sein.
trace.
Okay.
There's a secret in this bathroom. It's in the last place you would look. It isn't in the cupboard. It's hidden in this book.
Mhm. Eine kleine Dunkelkammer.
Sven gave Sam an old camera he'd refurbished. He never put it down.
Ich dachte gerade die Augen, aber ich glaube, der trägt einfach nur eine Sonnenbrille. Okay. Milton und eine Schaukel. Und sind wir in dem Zimmer von den beiden, die das Zimmer so schön geteilt haben?
I knew Grandpa Sam had a twin. And that he never talked about him. I guess my grandpa didn't like history any more than my mom did.
Okay.
How I Want to Remember My Brother by Sam Finch. The thing I remember is that when he made up his mind, that was it.
Okay, ich muss schaukeln und ich habe den Fuß gebrochen anscheinend.
My brother said he'd die before he ate another mushroom. And he did. At Barbara's funeral, we swore he'd never be afraid again. And he wasn't. I think Calvin always wanted to fly.
Müssen wir gleich hier runterspringen?
But that day, he finally made up his mind to do it.
Okay.
I told him going around was impossible. Maybe if I hadn't said that,
I'm not gonna tell you
Ja,
again.
der Fuß.
maybe if the wind hadn't picked up,
Aua.
then maybe he'd still be here. But I doubt it. I think he'd already made up his mind.
Muss ich einfach nur schaukeln oder muss ich irgendwas machen?
That's what I want to remember about my brother.
Ich weiß nicht genau. Ich bin ein bisschen überfordert gerade. Oder ob ich bremsen muss. Ich bremse mal und schau mal, was passiert. Ich glaube nicht, ne? Ich glaube, wir müssen schaukeln. Na gut, dann schaukeln wir. Diese kleine Insel habe ich vorhin schon aus dem Fenster gesehen im Wohnzimmer. Ich bin ein bisschen schwindelig davon.
The day he made up his mind to fly. And he did.
Ich habe Pipi in den Augen. Es geht los.
Calvin's story felt strangely familiar. When I was younger, I remember trying to do the exact same thing.
Okay.
After the funeral, Edie roped off Calvin's half of the room.
Dann denke ich, gehen wir jetzt mal hier hin.
Mom said Grandpa Sam enlisted at 18 and never set foot in the room again.
Okay. Gucken wir mal, was mit Sam passiert ist. Und müssen wir auf sein Bett? Oder müssen wir darüber? Ne, raus müssen wir noch nicht. Ah, ich glaube hier. Gucken wir wohl doch nicht bei Sam.
The passages were a pretty tight fit. They'd obviously been built for smaller hands and bellies.
können da lang und wir können hier raus. Ich will erst mal kurz hier gucken. Okay, da kommen wir in ein Zimmer. Dann machen wir einmal hier offen. Okay. Ach, hier sind wir. Okay. Kommen wir da auch wieder rein? Ja. Nicht, dass wir jetzt alles normal hätten laufen müssen. Oh Gott. Der Affe da rechts.
Growing up, I always thought of Barbara as a child star.
Okay. Ach so, nee, dann gehe ich da einfach mal wieder rein. Nee, dann geh mal wieder raus.
I never thought about how hard it must have been for her afterwards. Of all the stories people wrote about Barbara's death, I'm surprised Edie saved this one.
Old Jack here with another ghastly tale inspired by America's most unfortunate family. I'm calling it The Surprise Ending of Barbara Finch. As a child star, Barbara was famous for her scream. Now at 16, she was all washed up. A has-been. But in a lucky break, she'd been asked to perform her signature scream at a local convention for monster movie fans. It was just the boost her career needed. Unfortunately, her scream hadn't aged well.
Getting better. I think you just need the right motivation.
Her biggest fan and current boyfriend, Rick, was about to demonstrate when...
Now that was a great scream.
It was Barbara's father, Sven. He'd slipped into a table saw and had to be rushed to the emergency room. So Barbara got stuck babysitting her youngest brother, Walter. Her convention comeback was cancelled.
Okay, I'm hearing frustration, but I'm not hearing terror. What if I tried...
A gang of hoodlums in Halloween masks have been terrorizing Orcas Island tonight. Police are urging residents to...
That came from the basement.
You're right! Also, I loved your delivery on that. Why is your basement door locked?
Because my dad likes making puzzles and secret passages. There's a key hidden in the music box. The secret is to keep winding and winding until finally the key pops out.
Thanks, babe. I'll be back in a sec.
20 minutes later, Rick hadn't returned. So Barbara went to look for him, right on cue.
Können wir gleich doch in den Keller gehen?
She reached for the music box. And as she wound the key, she listened for Rick, but the house was silent.
Okay. Ist das gerade die Halloween-Musik? Oh.
Oh.
Rick?
Barb, relax. I was just trying to scare you to help you find your scream.
Well, I'm not scared, Rick. I'm furious.
Then act furious. All I'm getting from you now is that you're hurt and confused and
She threw him out, but she kept a little something to remember him by.
Barb, have you seen my other crutch?
And she was still holding it when she fell asleep watching the late picture show. Hours later...
Barbara! Walter, what's going on up there? Ah! Okay, I'm coming up, but if this is a trick, you're dead, Walter.
Das ist ein Insider mit Markt.
She heard whispering. It was coming from inside the house.
Oh dear.
The monsters had come to surprise her. For Barbara, it was a dream come true. Then she saw what kind of monsters they were, and she realized what was about to happen. She was going to be famous. And with her final breath, Barbara Finch gave the performance of her life. I wasn't there myself, but I hear Barbara was magnificent. Poor girl. She had a taste for stardom. But unfortunately, so did her fans. Of course, the police blamed it all on poor Rick, who disappeared the same night. And little Walter? Hiding under his bed the whole time. He took it all pretty hard, but that's another story. As for Barbara, tucked inside the music box was all they ever found of her. Her ear. Now that's what I call a real eerie tale.
Okay.
Edie told me all Barbara wanted was to be remembered, as absurd as that comic was. Maybe what Edie saw was a happy ending.
So, schauen wir mal weiter. Es gab wohl sogar eine Barbara Street. Und ein Hochzeitskuchen, ein Geburtstagskuchen. Lecker. Ich denke mal, wir müssen jetzt wieder raus und dann in den Keller gehen, wa? Jetzt wissen wir ja, wie wir da hinkommen.
I guess now I know why Mom didn't like me playing with the music box.
Ja. Dann schauen wir mal, was sich da drin verbirgt. Das Haus ist wunderschön, ne? So ein Haus hätte ich gern. Strom haben wir ja keinen.
Mom said the basement was off limits, unless I wanted another tetanus shot. I saw Edie sneak down to the basement once, carrying packages. I thought maybe she was hiding presents.
Der berühmte Kühlschrank von Barbara.
It turned out she was hiding a lot more than that.
Okay.
I remember asking Mom once about where Walter had gone. She said after Barbara died, he got as far away as he could.
Verständlich.
If there's a pattern in all these stories, I think it's that none of us has gotten very far.
Okay, das gucken wir uns gleich an. Wir schauen erstmal, ob es noch irgendwas gibt. Ach, so ein kleiner Luftschutzbunker im Keller. Mit so einem vorgeklebten Bild. Jetzt so aussieht, als würde er aus dem Fenster schauen können.
Goodbye, everyone. I can't believe I've been down here for 30 years. On that first day, after the shaking started, I didn't think I'd survive a week. But after a few days, I settled into a routine. That's what kept me sane. Having a schedule living for today. I always expected to be dead tomorrow. But if you wait long enough, you get used to anything. Even a monster on the other side of the door starts to feel normal. Almost friendly. And then one day, everything just stopped. Whatever that thing was, it was gone. Maybe it got tired of waiting. Or maybe I just got tired of being afraid. It's been a week now, the longest in 30 years. I'm done waiting. I have to leave while I still can.
Okay.
I know it's out there somewhere. Whatever killed Barbara and Molly and Calvin. Maybe this is all a mistake. But I need to stop living the same day, even if it kills me. Whatever's out there, I want you to know I'm ready for it. I'm going to appreciate all of it, especially the food. I don't mind if I only have a year left, or a month, or a single week. I'd be happy with one new day. I can already imagine the sun on my face.
Kam wohl ein Zug.
Walter died when I was 6. I can't believe my mom never told me he was down here. I'm sure my mom was trying to protect me. Maybe she was afraid I'd end up like Walter. But if she never told me about an uncle under the house...
Hier sind immer noch so viele Bücher überall. Die mögen Bücher.
I can only imagine what else she was hiding.
Okay.
I don't want to make the same mistakes she made.
Was ist das? Müll.
Trying to bury something that's still alive. Now that there's only one of us left, or maybe 2, I thought it was time I heard the stories for myself and found out what happened to everyone else. But now I'm worried the stories themselves might be the problem. Maybe we believed so much in a family curse, we made it real.
Okay, also leben wahrscheinlich nur noch wir von der Familie. Können wir da runter? Nein.
I don't know if I should even be writing this.
Was ist das da oben? Okay. Und da ist diese Insel. Da leuchtet irgendwas.
Maybe it'd be better if all this just died with me. But I thought you should know about your family. And the history you're a part of. Though to be honest, I feel as lost as you probably do right now. I think the people in these stories believed them, for what that's worth. And when you look at the house, that history of imagination and stubbornness and madness, any of it seems possible. I think we've been surrounded by death for so long, we've just gotten used to it. What kind of family finishes building a cemetery before starting the house? It's embarrassing for me to admit this, but the pet cemetery made me more uncomfortable than the human one. 3 of the gerbils were mine, and 2 had been my fault. Sven built the house, but it was Edie who designed the cemetery.
Okay, hier sind die Gräber von allen.
I'm sure Odin's monument had been Edie's idea. My mom was always trying to move on, but for Edie, the past never went away. She could see it poking out of the water at low tide.
Nee, ich will da durchgucken.
Edie said she dreamed about the old house every night.
Okay, hier ist wohl das alte Haus. Weiß nicht, kommt dann noch was? Haben wir da irgendwas vergessen oder müssen wir zurückgehen? bin ein bisschen überfragt, kurz. Schauen wir nochmal. Nee, können wir gar nicht mehr. Okay.
Edie's side was always easier for me to understand. But the older I get, the more I can see where my mom was coming from. Her dad had been pretty strict, but it wasn't enough to save her brothers. She was just trying to do better. She lost 2 of her brothers, just like I did. I get why she tried so hard to protect us. We never found Milton's body, so my mom insisted we were putting up a monument, not a tombstone.
Okay. Also Milton wird nie gefunden. Da weiß man nicht, ob er wirklich tot ist anscheinend.
There's so many things I wish I could ask my mom now. Part of me thinks this is what she wanted all along. For me to come back someday and find everything out for myself. But looking back on it now, if she told me there was going to be so much climbing, I never would have come when I was 22 weeks pregnant.
Oh, wir sind schwanger. Okay. Also wir sind 17 Jahre alt, ach, da ist die Leiter. Und in der 22. Woche schwanger.
I never met Grandpa Sam, but I think he and my mom had a lot in common. They were both pretty intense. Sam spent his life shooting photos, but Mom said he got nervous being in front of the camera. I guess we're all afraid of something.
Okay, da erfahren wir seine Geschichte. Und schauen wir erstmal. Ne, da gehen wir auch gleich rein.
Instead of hiding from death, Sam seemed to go out of his way to meet it.
Na gut, dann gucken wir mal. Wir erfahren mal etwas über Sam.
Dawn, I promise, you'll never forget this weekend.
Yes, sir.
These memories are gonna last a lifetime.
Hmm? Am I gonna have to shoot anything?
It's a hunting trip, Dawn. Shooting is strongly encouraged.
Oh.
What?
Muss ich irgendwas machen?
What?
Ah.
Perfect.
It's gonna rain the whole weekend, isn't it? I will never forget this weekend, Dad.
That's the spirit. Okay, got it.
I'm gonna take some pictures, okay?
Just be careful. The camera's older than you are.
You're right, Dad. It's starting to clear up. Still freezing, though.
Okay, ist egal, von was ich Bilder mache. Mach einfach mal von allem ein Bild.
Aw.
Definitely should not have drunk all that coffee.
Hold still while I take a picture of you.
I definitely. Hey!
That's a keeper.
Nothing quite like being outside. I'm just saying, I'm not always gonna be here, Dawn. You'll need to remember this stuff, if you want to survive.
I'll be fine, Dad.
You know who else thought he was gonna be fine?
Some guy who died.
Dawn, I'm being serious.
I know, Dad. You're always serious. Doesn't being out here make you want to chill out?
Well, to tell you the truth, I haven't been out here in 20 years. Last time I was with my brother Calvin. Man, that was a great trip. Your grandpa Sven taught us how to fish, how to build a fire. We found an old logging trail. There were deer everywhere. I bet if I could remember where that trail was, we'd spot a buck for you in no time. Give me a minute to check the map. Let's see. Maybe. Or was it? Could have been.
Dad!
Good eyes, Dawn. Before you take the shot, let me get a picture of you.
Dad, I...
Let me get behind you.
Do I have to do this?
Dawn, you don't have to do anything. But if you want to survive, you'll need to be strong. Great shot, Dawn! I'm proud of you, Dawn. Always remember that, okay? Sorry, Dawn. Just gotta reset the timer.
Ah. Reicht das hier? Stehe ich hier gut?
Hang on, kiddo. Just trying to get a shot of the two of us together.
Okay, nee, anscheinend noch nicht. Ach, sie wollte das gar nicht. Und jetzt weint sie da die ganze Zeit.
Dad, it's twitching. I think
That's
it's
totally
sad.
normal, Dawn. Just focus on the camera. Try not to think about...
Dad!
Nein.
Of all all these stories, that's the one I wish most that my mom had told me.
Okay. Weiter geht's.
After Sam died, my mom and Edie got really close. They'd both lost a lot.
Okay. Das gucken wir uns sofort an. Ah, da geht's weiter wahrscheinlich. Oh, hier ist noch was.
I can't imagine my mom ever writing poetry, and yet...
Hier sind 2 Sachen, glaube ich.
Dear Kay, do you remember the way Gregory used to laugh when he thought he was alone? Like something funny was happening, but only he could see it.
Okay. Sie ist also auch noch extra weggegangen, weil sie nicht wollte, dass wir sie hören. Oh nein. I'm not crying, you are crying. Oh, achso, ich kann schneller schwimmen.
He'd want you to be happy too. Good luck, Kay. Love, Sam.
Uff, 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 uff. Erstes Video alleine, Jodie heult. Aber faszinierend, ich meine, er stirbt, er ertrinkt. Und das Spiel macht das trotzdem so schön irgendwie. Es ist trotzdem irgendwie so glücklich und fröhlich. Wisst ihr, was ich meine?
A poem for Gus, who always said the wedding was a bad idea. Our father never hit us kids, at least not very hard, before the day my brother said with teenage disregard that he'd be dead before he'd see a wedding in our yard.
Okay.
My father made him come, of course, but Gus stood far apart, just flew his kite and bottled up the storm inside his heart. I tried to talk him out of it, but though he'd never met her, we don't need a stepmom, were the words that I
now pronounce you husband and wife. You may kiss the bride.
the time for photos came, Dad ordered him to come here. But Gus declined, and as a sign held up his middle finger. The wind picked up, and panicked geese appeared and quickly went. But all the humans did that day was go inside the tent. The rain came down in buckets then, but no one seemed afraid that nature might destroy the tent our dad had crudely made. The thunder sounded much too close and full of angry power. But all my father said for this was, "Make the music louder." I wish that I could truly say I thought about you on that day. Out there on the beach alone, just you, the wind, the sea, and foam. But I didn't, until we found you.
She never talked about him, but Mom told me once if I was a boy, they were going to name me Gus.
Das Spiel ist hart. Das Spiel ist hart für meine Nerven. So, dann klettern wir mal da hoch, würde ich sagen. Ich glaube, hier geht's
My mom moved up to the
weiter.
loft after her brothers died.
Okay.
At the time, it was as far away as she could get.
Okay, da gucken wir gleich rein.
She spent a summer building houses in Calcutta, where she met my dad, Sanjay.
Oh, da können wir runterrutschen, ne? Wie so eine Feuerwehrrutsche.
Religion was another thing my mom never talked about, but I think it helped her a lot after her dad died.
Okay. Oh, hier geht's weiter.
My mom moved to India a week after graduation and got a job teaching English. Louis was born a year later.
Okay, wir können... Nee, ich glaube, da runter kommen wir nicht. Okay, wir müssen hoch.
When my dad died, I don't think Mom knew where else to go. I'm sure Edie was happy to have her back. And to see kids in the house again. The house had to get a little bigger, but Edie was used to that. And for a while, things were good. Almost normal.
So eine eigene kleine Show.
The beginning of the end was Milton's 10th birthday, when Edie gave him a castle.
Okay.
After Milton disappeared, the only thing he left behind was a room full of paintings.
Gucken wir gleich. Okay, ich glaube, mehr gibt es hier nicht. Doch, da gibt's was. Ach nee, das ist das, womit wir runterfahren. Okay. Dann schauen wir mal.
Milton Finch in The Magic Paintbrush.
Okay.
I was 4 when Milton disappeared. Mom spent months searching for my brother. Then she sealed the doors.
Hier müssen wir nicht durch diese Magic Door. Ich glaube nicht. Dann klettern wir mal wieder raus.
Whatever Milton had found in the house, Mom didn't want it getting out.
Oh, kommen wir nie durch? Nein.
Mom definitely blamed Edie, but I think Louis blamed himself. After he graduated, he just spent more and more time in his room, until Mom got him a job at the cannery.
Everyone always told me to stay out of Louis's room, except Louis.
Guckt euch mal diesen Ausblick an. Wie schön kann denn ein Spiel gemacht sein? Warum habe ich das noch nie gespielt, frage ich mich.
Louis's room smelled very, very familiar. That part of him lived on.
Louis and I spent a lot of time playing games together, but he was surprisingly bad at them. He died a lot.
Sind Markus und ich nur umgekehrt? Ich sterbe. Okay, da ist dann seine Geschichte. Gibt es hier noch was zu entdecken? Glaube nicht. Ne, das ist nur die Tür. Okay, dann schauen wir mal.
Dear Mrs. Finch, as Louis's psychiatrist, I can understand your desire for an explanation. As I see it, the trouble began in January, shortly after we convinced your son to seek treatment for substance abuse. Newly sober, I believe Louis first noticed the monotony of his daily life. He kept working at the cannery, but he withdrew part of himself.
Der Fisch.
In our sessions, I saw the same behavior. His mind began to wander.
Okay, ich muss gleichzeitig hier laufen und die Fische.
I asked him to describe it. He said he started small, imagining a labyrinth. He'd feel his way about. Then something moved. Bats. And toads.
Es ist sehr gut gemacht, dass es mit den Fischen hier wirklich sehr
Things that
monoton
have not names.
Also, dass man es macht, ohne hinzugucken.
He knew it was all in his head. But he took it very seriously. I had hoped he'd find himself. But he found something more. I worried about him then, daydreaming at the cannery. I spoke with his boss. But he said Lewis had become a model employee. Methodical, tireless, focused. Like a whole new Lewis. So I let him go on. I even encouraged him. It seemed very promising at first. He told me he'd made a new friend. On the edge of a city he named Lewis Topia. He built the city up slowly, brick by brick. Then he made musicians. And songs for them to play. He talked about starting a band. And he was always humming something. Every day his imagination grew stronger. He no longer spoke at the cannery. But his chopping was as reliable as ever. Then one day it struck him that all the cheering crowds, even the stones under his feet, were all in his imagination. So he could do whatever he wished. He held an election for mayor. And he won. They begged him to stay, but his mind was already wandering. It became a game for him. He'd conquer a city, then immediately push on. New Louisville. St. Louis. He started drifting away from our reality. Minneapolis. Until one day he forgot to go home from the cannery. Even as his mother pleaded with him, part of Louis kept sailing on.
Also ich muss ja immer noch nebenbei die Fische schneiden und ich muss sagen, das ist wirklich gut gemacht. Also ich mache es wirklich selber sehr monoton. Ich fühle das gerade irgendwie.
In Louisburg, he heard rumors of a beautiful prince.
Oh Gott.
The prince was on his own quest for
Rainbow.
radiant rainbows.
Boing. Oh nein. Ich bin Regenbogen umgefahren. Oh, schon wieder.
He followed the sound of his
Die Harfe.
silver harp. His chase led him to a golden palace east of the sun and west of the moon. Even then, his logic remained sound. He knew the world was all in his imagination. But he was so proud of having created it. In his own eyes, he'd become something greater than a king. For someone who'd never known success in the real world, I think it was overwhelming. And then it struck him that the real Louis was not the one chopping salmon, but the one climbing the steps of a golden palace. My imagination is as real as my body, he told me. It was hard to argue with him.
Okay. Das sieht ja eher wieder nach der Fabrik aus, als nach einem Palast. Okay. Okay, darf ich das auf YouTube zeigen?
He began to forget the world we know. I think it pained him to remember Louis, the cannery worker. He began to despise the man with a royal contempt. I still thought I could save him. Even after he said he was being crowned king over all the lands of wonder. The palace would be packed with his companions. including the wise Calico who'd insisted on advising me.
No, Molly! Das Molly! Die Musik ist großartig.
His prince waited, holding his crown. There was only one thing left to do. Bend down his head. And the rest I think you know. Mrs. Finch, your son was a kind man who will be missed by all of us who knew him.
My brother was really cool. I wish you could have met him.
Ich glaube, wir haben alle, oder? Sieht so aus, als wäre alles voll. Gehen wir mal raus.
On the way back from Lewis's funeral, my mom told me to start packing. She waited until the day before we left to tell Edie. I'm not sure if she wanted to make it easier or harder. I wish we'd stayed. But I understand why we left. My mom ended up leaving everything behind. What happened that night had been coming for a long time. Maybe it should have come sooner. But it had to end one way or another. All that's left now is to tell you about that last night.
Die Schrift ist auch immer wieder großartig im Game, ne? Das muss ich jetzt auch mal sagen. Nachdem ich schon fast 2 Stunden gespielt habe.
That whole last day, Edie just watched us pack and didn't say a word. Until supper, when she raised her glass and said,
"To our final night together, and all our final nights apart."
Grandma, you know what I said about alcohol. Some of your medications are very
Edith,
specific.
I left a present for you in the hallway. Why don't you go open it? The grown-ups have to argue now.
I'm sorry, you're right. We're all leaving tomorrow. Let's just enjoy our last...
I'm not leaving.
Edith, you're excused.
Okay.
The power had been shut off that morning, but Edie always had plenty of candles. When my mom sealed the library, I don't think she knew about the other entrance. Or that Edie had a key to it.
That thing you're you're afraid of isn't going to end when you leave the house. Edith has a right to know these stories.
My children are dead because of your stories. I think it's best if Edith and I leave tonight. We'll have the nursing home send a van for you in the morning, okay?
Dear Edith, there's so many stories I wish I could tell you, but there's only time for one. This is about what happened on the night you were born. That night, the tide went way, way out. It was the first and last time I ever saw the old house aground. There'd been an earthquake out in the middle of the ocean. They called it the lowest tide in 1,000 years. God, it smelled awful. You know, I've seen that house every day of my life. But I never thought I'd go back to it. When the fog rolled in, I lost my way. I got turned around.
Okay, nein, tue ich nicht.
For a while, I wandered. I started seeing things. Things I'd forgotten had ever existed. But when I saw them, they felt like old friends. That night, a lot of things came back to me. Or maybe I came back to them. Things I can't explain, but that I need you to try and...
Edith, what are you doing in here?
It's mine.
Edith!
Mom, you're gonna rip it! Let go! I kicked and screamed, but Mom dragged me to the car. I never saw Great-Grandma Edie again. The next morning, the van came to pick her up, but she was already gone. After that, we moved around a lot. We both tried to make the best of it.
Ich kann das hier so süß hin und her.
A few years went by. My mom didn't like to talk about it. But she started getting sick a lot. The rest happened pretty quickly. She got better for a while, and then she didn't. And then I was alone. The last finch left alive. Until I found out about you. I'm still not sure what to tell you about all this. If we lived forever, maybe we'd have time to understand things. But as it is, I think the best we can do is try to open our eyes. And appreciate how strange and brief all of this is. This journal was supposed to be for you. But now I hope you'll never see it. I just want to meet you and tell you all these stories myself. But I guess if you're reading this now, things didn't work out that way. This is where your story begins. I'm sorry I won't be there to see it. It's a lot to ask, but I don't want you to be sad that I'm gone. I want you to be amazed that any of us ever had a chance to be here at all. Good luck.
I'm not crying, you are crying. Uff. Ja, erste Video. Erstmal heulen live on cam, dann haben wir das auch abgehakt für meine folgende YouTube-Karriere. Falls ihr euch das überhaupt bis hierhin angeguckt habt, dann Respekt. Bei meinem Commentary, wie gesagt, ich bin da noch sehr unsicher, deswegen habe ich extra das Spiel genommen, wo man nicht so viel reden muss, sondern eher das Spiel auf sich wirken lassen muss. Ich weiß gar nicht, was ich groß zum Spiel sagen will, außer dass es großartig ist. Einfach alles daran ist großartig. Und ich hoffe, es hat euch gefallen. Ich hoffe, ihr findet es okay, wenn ich ab und zu auch was ohne Markus mache. Ich hoffe, ihr guckt das trotzdem und mögt das. Und fandet das Spiel genauso schön wie ich. Fandet es okay, wie ich es gespielt habe. Und ich gehe jetzt zu Markus ins Bett heulen. Bis zum nächsten Mal.